Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday to you. Today is Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, and we're here in the Assembly Hall at 901 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers. Commissioner Washington, I'm calling our meeting to order. Commissioner Williams will be joining us shortly this morning. She is tending to some other business right now, but she'll be in shortly. We'll go ahead and get our meeting started. I'd like to call Pastor Curtis Fox from the Conyers Seventh-day Adventist Church, our good friend, Pastor Curtis Fox. Come on up and lead us in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. So good to have you. Come on up, sir.
Sir, thank you for the honor. Shall we pray together?
Yes.
God in heaven, we thank you for this privilege and opportunity. Here we are gathered in your presence. We acknowledge that you are the sovereign God, that you've got the whole world in your hands. May the government of man be upon your shoulders. And may you be to us the mighty God, an everlasting Father, and a Prince of Peace. Give us wisdom beyond human wisdom. Guide and direct us, for only you truly can point the way. Grant us virtue necessary, so that in all our deliberations we will do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. We pray for prosperity on this institution. We ask, O Lord, your blessing upon the leaders, each of them, and upon the people. Prosper our efforts and multiply your blessings upon all, and may your good name be glorified. We thank you in the name of our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Fox, and I want to take a moment and say thank you for all of the work that you and the good people over at the Seventh-day Adventist Church do on behalf of all of our citizens here in Rockdale County. And I often talk about the number of churches that are scattered throughout our community. I am clearly aware of the work and the ministries that you all are engaged in over at your church at Seventh-day Adventist there on Salem Road, and we certainly appreciate what you do and what you do for the people in the community. Government alone can't take care of the people. Rockdale County has well over 300 churches. Every mile and 3/4 of a mile, there's a church. But you all are certainly making a difference. Let's give Pastor Fox a round of applause. Thank you so much. Commissioner Washington, moving forward, we have several special recognitions this morning. Executive Director Rutledge, I believe that we will start with item number A, with the special recognition of the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association. And we're calling up Director Redmond to come on up and lead the way. Director, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Commissioner Washington. We have several acknowledgments and announcements this morning, but I first want to start off with announcing that this past weekend we had a pickleball tournament at the Rockdale Tennis Center. Pickleball has been a hot topic in the community, and we in Parks and Recreation have been working behind the scenes with General Services to make sure that we provide that amenity to the public. So this past weekend we had our first pickleball tournament in partnership with Mercy Heart. Mercy Heart is located at Restoration Storehouse at 1400 Parker Road. Mercy Heart's whole mission is to help with medical expenses and dental expenses. So the proceeds from this tournament are used to go towards paying that for someone. This morning I communicated via email with some of the members of Mercy Heart, and I just wanted to read a comment that was given by Ms. Darlene Hotchkiss. She's the president and board chair. And she said, Mercy Heart is committed to providing free medical, dental, and home support to Rockdale. Money is always an issue. However, we know that each year with your help, we will find funds to help support our community. So Mercy Heart is another partner that Parks and Recreation partners with to help the community and give back. Just acknowledging the members for Mercy Heart, that is Darlene Hotchkiss, she's the president and board chair. Chris Jeske, he is a board member and pickleball committee chair. McKinney Corlett is the board member, and Yvette Morton Williams is also a board member. So just wanted to make sure that we recognize them and their efforts. They did a lot of planning behind the scenes to make this tournament a success.
You know, Director, first of all, let me just say the wait is over because we've just completed this successful pickleball event and tournament. But I also want to take a moment and highlight the work that Mercy Heart does in Rockdale County. When I was listening to you read their whole mission and to be able to pull off and work with you all, coordinate with Parks and Rec, to have this event to be on behalf of those folks who need help in our community. Rockdale County is laced with nonprofit organizations who really serve to give back to our community in so many ways, helping the people who need the help. So let's give Mercy Heart and Parks and Rec a round of applause.
Thank you, Chairman.
Well, it doesn't stop there. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, because this whole pickleball thing has been a lot of talk and excitement. That was just the beginning, and I like to say the drop in the bucket.
Yes.
But tell us again, before you go on with your list, tell us again, Director Redmond, about the plans that Parks and Rec has as it relates to pickleball, because we've had so many emails, texts, calls, and folks coming in about their interest in pickleball.
So we have plans to bring 3 pickleball courts that will be located at Parker Road. They will be opposite of the tennis center, what we like to call Wheeler Park South, down by the restrooms in the trail area where the open parking lot is. It will be next to the fitness campaign that we've already placed in the field there. So again, I've been working with General Services on this design. We just actually finalized the design last week. I received the email of the final courts. So we're looking to get those installed sometime beginning of 2024, first quarter.
Okay, so next year, early next year, we can anticipate to hear more from you and your team and General Services as you all work together to bring this to fruition.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, just know that this was somewhat of a tease this past weekend, and
was.
people are sitting on the edge of their seat waiting to hear more.
We had 46 participants that registered, so very successful,
Wow.
Yeah. And they
very
were,
good.
they were serious. They was out there talking noise to each other. Next, I want to pivot to acknowledge Senior Services. Senior Services received an award they were honored with a Distinguished Service Award for their dedication to safety of the elderly. The Olivia Haydale Senior Center was honored with the Distinguished Service Award for Elder Abuse Awareness and Prevention. This award was presented by the Rockdale County PEARL, that stands for Protecting Our Elderly and At-Risk with Resources for Better Living program, at their annual senior luncheon that was held on August 10th. PEARL increases awareness of abuse and safeguards for the vulnerable members of our community. Senior Services, a member of the multidisciplinary team, provides specific resources and case management for elderly and disabled adults that are affected by exploitation and neglect. So PEARL is a big deal in our community. Deputy Director Morgan works very closely with them to make sure that we're catching and staying ahead of any type of sign that we see for senior abuse. So.
Director Redmond, again, I have to, Commissioner Washington, just kind of add a few comments, because not only does the staff, Deputy Director Susan Morgan over at our senior center does a fantastic job taking care of the seniors here in Rockdale County, but the PEARL program itself, and let me just break it down a little bit because I want folks to hear it in layman's terms. Basically, this is a program that protects the elderly. Oftentimes, and let me just be very candid, sometimes the people who are taking advantage of elderly are family members.
Yep.
And I hope, like the Dickens, that the police lock them all up. That's right. This program is designed to protect our elderly, folks who are receiving government assistance or retirement funds, and sometimes they're in a position where they're at the mercy of a family member, someone who's supposed to be looking out for them, but end up taking advantage of them. The PEARL program is designed so that we can investigate and make sure that we look out for those who can no longer look out for themselves. Let's give the PEARL program a wonderful round of applause.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, well, I'm not finished.
Okay.
No, I'm not finished. I've just got a little bit more in me to talk about this Pearl program because the truth of it is we receive in our office a good number of calls from citizens. I'm always getting a text message of somebody or from a pastor about a senior citizen who has been taken advantage of. And I'm really making a case about this morning and the fact that we appreciate the Pearl program, but I want folks to know that we take this very serious. Through the due diligence and the efforts of the Pearl program, we're able to do what we need to do here in Rockdale County. Now, if you're out there and you're listening to this broadcast or watching this broadcast and you are aware of someone, watch this, in your family that's being taken advantage of, you need to call and make a report. Because folks who've worked all their lives, they've retired, they've earned their money, and now they need other folks to help see them through their golden years. They don't deserve to be taken advantage of. I don't know how many of y'all might have a mama still living, or grandmama, big mama, auntie, somebody that raised you and looked out for you. But the last thing you want is for someone to be taken advantage of. And that includes your brothers and sisters and your cousin and them. So I just wanted to make sure I gave a big shout out on behalf of the Pearl program. Let's give the Pearl program another round of applause.
Correct. Thank you, Chairman. Next, I would like to acknowledge our 8U and 10U baseball teams. I've come before the board before to acknowledge basketball, I know 2 times, for winning District 6. So now we're starting to spread the wealth a little bit with winning and beating everybody up in District 6 in Rockdale County. So we're going to come and brag about it a little bit. Our 8U and 10U baseball teams, they won first place in their age groups for District 6. Both teams finished first place in their district and won a spot to compete on the state level for the first time. This tournament for the state level was held in Gainesville, Georgia, and that occurred on June the 20th. So today I have some of the coaches that are here with me, and we want to acknowledge them. We have a certificate for them that we will give them, as well as we have 2 more banners that will go up in the gym. We have 2 already that's for basketball. Now we have 2 that will be for baseball. And then next we'll do football. And then next we're going to add a golf component. No, I'm just joking. But we're going to keep going is what I'm saying. So, so the certificates read, Certificate of Achievement. This certificate is dedicated to the person's name. Thank you for your hard work and dedication toward leading our 8U and 10U baseball teams to victory as District 6 Class A champs. Congratulations. So, I don't know, are the coaches here? If you would come forward. Yeah. We'll get a photo once I call everyone out. So, Ms. Coach Brandy Watson. Thank you very much for your time. Coach Chester Forsyth. He's not here. Coach Brandon Ward. Coach Harry Newsom. Coach Chris Key. Not here. Coach Marvin Martin. Coach Brian Davis. So it is very important that we acknowledge these coaches. They give their time. They give a lot of time. 8U and 10U, I'm not sure that's the fun age. A lot of energy, a lot of repetitive directions and instructions. It's a lot of dog piling on the baseballs when they go in the field. And we just really want to thank you guys for your time, your effort, and your patience and dedication to Parks and Recreation. So thank you.
Let's give our coaches another round of applause. Yes.
All right. Wow.
You know, when we have, and we do, we have so many community coaches that support our Parks and Recreation program here in Rockdale County. We don't take it for granted. that, and in fact, a few of them couldn't be here to be recipients of their certificate because they're at work. Well, these folks give up their time and their talent after hours in supporting our community, making the lives and the character of our young people. It's not all about the sports itself, but building character in our young people. So let's give our community coaches another round of applause.
Thank you. Moving forward, so during summertime, we have summer camp. Summer camp's a big deal. The ages that we offer for summer camp are 5 to 12. So after you turn 12, it's kind of like, what happens? What do I do? Where do I go? You're not old enough to work because you're not 16 yet. However, you're too old to be in summer camp. So we consider this in Parks and Recreation a huge, great area for our teenagers. And we give them the opportunity to come in, work with us during the summer, volunteer with us during the summer, sharpen their skills, do something besides sleep to 1 o'clock and play the video game. I mean, I'm being honest. I have my youngest is 18, so I get it. I understand.
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do. You have to literally pull them out of bed. Most of the time when, dealing with teenagers, you catch them doing things, it's looked at as a negative connotation. So we want to acknowledge 2 teenagers that are here today and let them know that we caught them doing something good.
Great.
Right? They utilized their time and they volunteered over the summer, almost close to 8 hours a day. Most of the time it was 6 hours. And, I encourage the parents not to let them do 8 hours because they weren't getting paid. But they definitely were there 6 hours out of the day, learning skills, working with kids that are younger than them. I really love to hear their comments and feedback as to how they tell us the kids that age don't listen. My comment is normally you don't say. So they get a chance to see what it's like. So I want to read what's on their certificate. Outstanding Volunteer Award, proudly presented to, their name will be placed there, for volunteering time and effort at Rockdale County Parks and Recreation 2023 Summer Camp. Thank you so much for all you do. So Miss Maya Mims, come on up. And Mr. Bryce Kamen, come on up. I do have to tell you, Chairman, they did get put out of school today, but they're going right back right now. They have an excuse and everything with letterhead on it. So
very good,
they're
very
official.
good. Well, Director, to be honest with you, I'd love to hear from Bryce and Maya. I'd love to hear about their experience with parks. Come on up. Ladies first. Come on up, Maya. Come on up, Maya. We'll start with the ladies.
Guys, the Chairman will put you on the spot, so come on up.
We like to hear from their own words, their own experience. Tell us about your experience.
I would say it's exciting. Like he said, from your parents' point of view, they're always like, oh, well, you don't listen. So it was like we took the step in, but it was always like engaging. Like when I first came, I played basketball with one of the little girls, and that's not something I would normally do. But she was really competitive, and it was fun, like just stepping out. And then I helped somebody with math. So instead of being the student, it was like I was the teacher.
All right. Okay. Very good. Bryce, what about you?
I really enjoyed the experience, and like she said, it gave me like a teacher's perspective and instead of the student. Yeah.
Let's give Bryce a wonderful round of applause. I really think it's good when we can trade places with the young people and they get a chance to see things from our perspective, giving them a real hands-on, on-time, real-life experience. Let's give both of them another round of applause.
We'll have a video right now, Chairman and Commissioner.
Okay. All right.
When I think about hoops after dark, I think about being able to push through all of the different trials and tests and all of the twists and turns that life brings when I think about after dark. In other words, when you go through something after going through the dark, you come into the light. Things begin to shine and happen for you.
And I think the biggest takeaway that I want to give you guys today is all about just a straightforward talk about responsibility and decision making. How many of you guys want to play college basketball? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I think I got more hands who want to play college basketball than hands that realize what they want to do for a career right now, right? So if you want to do something like that, play college basketball, if you want to play professional basketball, if you want to do anything as a career, anything that you're going to have to do to support your family, because all of you guys are men. So it's on you to be the support for your family. So I played basketball in high school and college, and I played 1 year professional basketball. But the only way I was able to do that is by being a solid dude at home, because the skills transfer. If you can do something that you don't like to do, and you transfer into something that you want to do, transformation is easy.
So Hoops After Dark is an important program in Parks and Recreation, not only because it keeps the youth involved, it actually targets the youth and the teens in the community. It's really easy to find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time as a teenager and get into trouble that's unwarranted or unintentional. So Hoops After Dark is in partnership with the District Attorney's Office. We're also partnering with Hills Academy to ensure that it's an inclusive activity, an inclusive program to everyone in the community.
So, Chairman and Commissioner, you are not experiencing deja vu. Yes, we played that video before at the board meeting, but I wanted to play it again for a reason. The first reason is I wanted to acknowledge one more volunteer that we have. Sergeant Warren, come on up. Sergeant Warren, so he's in uniform. He's always in uniform, but sometimes he's on his own time. We have seen him dedicate his time, his effort, his personal resources to these kids and he's not related to anyone on that court or in that gym or in this program, but he has really gone above and beyond to dedicate his time and his effort. I think it's great that kids get to see a person in uniform interacting with them on this level, showing that they care, knowing that the current climate that we have in America. So I just really want to acknowledge Sergeant Warren, tell him thank you very much for his time and effort.
Sarge, you so much I can say, but they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. Tell us about your calling, your passion beyond the uniform. You've given up your time and talent. Talk to us.
Well, for me, it's all about the community. I lived in this community for a while, but it's just the partnerships that we develop with Parks and Rec. I know a lot of them personally. I do a lot with them, but engaging the youth has always been my passion. As I was a sergeant over the cops unit for the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, which is community-oriented policing, but I developed a lot of programs to help with the youth. It goes into, basically, like you said, a calling. God has always given me the ability to be able to yield my resources when available, and that's all I'm trying to do. It not only looks good upon the Sheriff's Office and the community that you have somebody stepping outside of their norm to help out the youth, and those are our future leaders, so why not help develop them? So that's all
Sergeant Warren, you the man. Let's give him another round of applause.
So, and as we conclude, this program is headed by Deputy Director Wilson. She took the reins and she ran with it. She's responsible for all the collaboration, coordination. So I want her to come up and talk about this last piece.
Come on up, Deputy Director. Absolutely.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank
Good morning.
you. So we would definitely like to thank our partners, but most importantly, the youth, a part of this program, as well as the parents and the several volunteers that we have. But this is definitely a collaborative program in conjunction with the DA Johnson's office, District Attorney's office, juvenile courts, Hills Academy, and Rockdale County Sheriff's Office. So with that said, we are in session 2 currently, wrapping up session 2 next week, going into tournament style. However, we did submit to our local agency, Georgia Recreation and Park Association, for the most outstanding award, and Hoops After Dark did win. So we are, we were definitely able to beat out every program submitted through the state of Georgia.
Wow.
So Rockdale County is on the map.
Yes.
So we definitely would like to say thank you for everyone who's came out, guest spoke with us. And right now we do have a female coach on board for session 2, and we have 3 female players that are actually participating this time. So thank you.
So that award will be given November 7th at the Georgia Recreation Parks Association convention at the Athens Convention Center at the conference. So lastly, man, so much goes into just these 10 minutes, 20 minutes that I've been up here speaking. So I would like to say to Director Mims and Deputy Director Caldwell, thank you guys for always being on point to help us tell our story. A lot of emails flew back and forth yesterday about the order, what was needed to do this presentation. Parks and Recreation does a lot. You know, we're not one-dimensional at all, not even close to it. You know, culture and arts, tennis, pickleball, swimming, baseball, basketball. We're a community resource, so we just want to be able to tell our story, let the community know what we have to offer, and as I always, thank the board for their support.
Well, Director Redmond, you and your team are doing an outstanding job. For all the folks who say there ain't nothing to do in Rockdale County. We don't know where they're looking, and they're certainly not looking at Rockdale County Parks and Recreation. Let's give them a round of applause. And before we exit the building real quick, I do want to call up Madam DA. Come on up, Madam DA. Yes, because your support with this Hoops After Dark.
She was hiding over there. We was looking for. I'm like, is she here?
We have a DA that is intimately involved with what's going on with our community. And unlike in a lot of other communities, you really don't see the district attorney out on the ground getting involved with what's happening with our community, particularly our young people. Come on up, Madam DA. Talk to us and tell us about why was this even important for you and your office to embrace?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. It's good to see you all this morning. So Hoops After Dark is actually a part of our YIELD program in the DA's office, which stands for Youth Intervention, Enrichment, and Learning by Design. It was a grant that we were able to win an award for, and it's in partnership, as mentioned by Director Redmond, with the Sheriff's Office, Parks and Recreation, Juvenile Court, the Sheriff's Office. But the goal ultimately is to make sure that we are able to pour in and invest in our homegrown youth here in Rockdale County.
Right.
As a DA, I think it is hypocritical to wait for the community to come to my courthouse and into my building without doing something to be able to prevent them from entering the criminal justice system at all. I am optimistic in that I want to believe that we can make a change immediately, and I do hope that we can be able to be the first community to say, wow, we have seen a decrease in our youth entering the criminal justice system.
Absolutely.
But we have to be proactive, and Hoops After Dark is that kind of a program. We are developing characteristics that it can use on the court and in life. YIELD, by definition, stands for to submit, and it also stands for to bear fruit. That's ultimately the mission of the YIELD program, is that for our youth to be able to submit to who they have been called to by their higher calling, and to also bear good fruit in the community. So we have a lot of programs under our YIELD program, and we're just so proud of what has been done through Hoops After Dark and across the hard work of Parks and Recreation to pour into our youth. And that's the big picture of what it's all about and what we are about in the DA's office.
Let's give our DA a round of applause. we appreciate having a DA like DA Johnson here in Rockdale County. As I mentioned earlier, Commissioners, we're fortunate here in Rockdale County to have someone who, particularly our DA, who is boots on the ground. This is not the norm from a district attorney's office, but to really be proactive in working with our community. And I'm really hoping that many parents and school officials are watching and listening to this broadcast. They can see that we are part of a community that cares. You can connect and reach out to the DA's office and learn how to connect with Hoops After Dark, as well as Parks and Recreation, and prevent things from happening, and they may never have to see the DA for anything other than good reasons. So again, let's give DA Johnson another round of applause. Commissioners, I'm feeling good about this morning. We got a lot of good things happening here in Rockdale County. It doesn't stop with what you just heard. I want to talk about, as we celebrate one of our dedicated employees who's been with Rockdale County for a long time. Before I get to calling this individual up, I want to talk about the importance of something that we don't see a lot of, Executive Director Holmes, and that's good, strong work ethic, because we're in a whole different day. There's a whole different workforce of folks now. But people who are putting in 25, 30, 40 years on one job, those days are almost foreign. Those days are almost amiss now. But let's give it up for Mr. Stanley Bigby, 33 years of service in Rockdale County. Yes. Stanley, we're going to hear from you in just a second, but I'm going to ask that Commissioner Washington do the honors of reading this proclamation we put together in your honor. So just stand there and bask in the moment for a moment.
Are you basking? Yeah. Whereas we celebrate the exceptional accomplishments of Stanley Bigby, who has dedicated 33 years of service to the Rockdale County Department of Transportation, and whereas Mr. Bigby was born and raised in Rockdale County, during his tenure, he supported his family of 3 children and his wife, with whom he has been happily married to for over 20 years. That deserves a round of applause. And whereas Mr. Bigby is an exceptional team player who values hard work and helping others, he is known for his positive attitude and dedication to mentoring new employees, making him an invaluable asset to the company. And whereas he is a class act and his co-workers and leadership rely on his reliability, dependability, and trustworthiness. Mr. Bigby is someone to count on to get the job done correctly. He is personable. He is a personable character, and during his time on the job has made lifelong friends. And whereas Mr. Bigby has the heart for service and construction, even after his retirement, he is sure to continue the excellent work with his personal construction business to cater to those in need of quality production. And whereas Mr. Bigby will choose his future, whether he spends time on the ground with the crew finishing a construction project or on the grill, I want to invite, shooting pool and traveling with his grandkids, Rockdale County will never forget the work Mr. Bigby has done for the county. And whereas Rockdale County is proud to recognize Mr. Bigby's outstanding service to his community, and we bid him well wishes on his well-deserved retirement. Therefore, we, the members of the Board of Commissioners of Rockdale County, do hereby proclaim September 12th, 2023 in Rockdale County as Stanley Bigby Recognition Day, signed by Oz Nesbitt Sr., Sherry L. Washington, and Doreen Williams.
Well, we want to hear from Stanley real quick, Director Mims. Let's hear from Stanley. We're going to take them pictures in just a minute. Gather yourself, Stanley. You're about to make me cry up here.
That makes two of us, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I enjoyed all the 33 years that I was here. I met a lot of nice people and a lot of good friends and stuff over the years and stuff. I've seen some ups and some downs, but mostly good and stuff like that. And I'm glad I was able to make it to retirement.
Amen. Amen.
I'm 57.
Ooh, so we got a long ways to go.
All right, very
Thank
good. Mr. Bigby, do you have any family here with you? Any family with you this morning?
Yeah, my wife and my
Bring your
sister-in-law.
beautiful wife. Let's give his wife a round of applause. Yeah. We're going to ask you to move forward, so Director Mims, she's got some pictures she want to take. And Commissioner, let's go stand with this 33-year veteran. That don't happen that often, so we're going to stand with Stan Bigby this morning. Absolutely. Give him another round of applause. I wanted to be intentional about Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Williams, about Mr. Bigby's time and service, because it is truly rare today to find people who will stick and stay with an organization 20, 25, 30, 33 years. So we certainly do appreciate all of what Mr. Bigby, and he is certainly an institution and a resource, not just limited to the Rockdale Department of Transportation, but in many, many departments in Rockdale County. He's been a resource to help us get things done. You also heard that he's a native of Rockdale County. He's here, born and raised here, and he is going to be around, and we've already had a clear conversation that we will be in tune. I have Stanley's number in my cell phone, that's right. So we're going to be calling on him from time to time to help us figure out what we can't figure out. Y'all give Stanley another round of applause. You don't have to be in human resources to know that good help is hard to find. Absolutely. All right, now I have one more. I mean, it continues to get better this morning. I've got one more. I don't call up the executive assistant in the finance department, Miss Stacy Barner Lewis. Come on up, Miss Lewis. Absolutely, yes. Tell us what you have on your mind this morning.
Well, good morning,
Good morning.
Chairman Oz. Good morning, Commissioner Washington and Williams. Today is a great day in finance. A couple months ago, CFO Michelle Irizarry joined us as our leader, and she has come in and with a positive attitude, very knowledgeable. She's going to ask those questions. She's going to ask those questions why and everything. But she has been just a joy to work with. And the entire team, the finance team, please stand. We are here to say happy birthday to Michelle.
Nice.
And we have some flowers for you. And we have some Coke Zero for you on ice. Your Reese, she's working all day today, and we just hope that you enjoy your day. And we thank you, and we're so happy that you're our leader.
All right. I tell you, one celebration after another. Happy birthday, Madam CFO. We, whether you know, that's the beauty of working for the best county in the state of Georgia, Rockdale County. On one end of the pendulum, we celebrate 33 years of an employee, and then we celebrate the birthday of somebody who's only been here 33 minutes. Let's give Michelle another birthday round of applause. Wow. Wow, that's the way. That's the way you start off a board meeting. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Commissioner Williams, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Glad you could make it into all the excitement. Absolutely. And Commissioner Washington and I have been holding it down until you got here. And now we're getting ready to move into some real business. Commissioner Washington, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving forward now, Executive Director Rutledge, with the next item on our agenda, which is item number 4. It is the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
I second that motion.
It has been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is item number 5, the approval of the minutes from August 22nd, 2023 and September 5th of 2023. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. There's no unfinished business today, ladies, and we're moving straight to the consent agenda, item number 7. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
I move to approve the items on the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
It has been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, that takes us right on to the regular agenda, item number 8. Executive Director Rutledge.
Yes, item 429 is a change in condition case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1076 Honey Creek Road Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013. This is from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District to impose conditions upon the impose conditions upon the amendment and to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted this morning for a second reading.
So there's a note on there that says that they're asking for another condition, which is having the option to make the residential development 100% rental. I don't want to do it 100% rental, so how does that work?
So what you have before you, and also Deputy Director Wheeler is here this morning as well, does not include anything about a rental in the conditions as the exhibit to the ordinance that is in front of you. If you wanted to add that, you would have to put that in your motion to amend it. Would you agree, Deputy Director?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, I move to approve the second reading and to adopt this ordinance as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any additional questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item, please.
Right, item 430 is a future land use case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended, so as to redesignate property located 1816 Parker Road from the commercial future land use category to the high density future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
Okay, so we have something similar here.
And it would be the same situation where the request came after what the ordinance that is in front of you. Again, the Deputy Director is here to expand upon that.
Yes. So again, the developer is asking for the option to be able to either choose between rental or buying. The Planning Commission recommended that there would be a rental cap of 5%. So that the developer is asking to not do a 5% rental cap, but give him the option of doing 100% rental and managed by one single management company, or have him give the option of developing or selling the development as individual buyers. He's seeking flexibility in that choice.
Okay, and so I notice that there's also a request to eliminate the 50-foot buffer.
Yes, ma'am. So For the zoning category that he's seeking, there would be a 50-foot buffer along R2 zoning categories. However, staff did confirm that the property located to the east of the property is zone R3, another multifamily, so that buffer would be eliminated, null and fact. So it should be eliminated. That's why he's seeking to remove it.
Okay.
It was not reflected in our zoning map online. However, we did go through our Parker Road storage and found the actual plat for it showed that there was a zoning change in 2004.
Okay, so, I don't see the conditions.
So let's clarify. What you have before you right now is the second reading of the future land use amendment.
Right.
The questions that we're asking right now is for the second item, which is the rezoning. Does that make sense? The conditions would be
okay.
attached to the next item, not
Gotcha.
to this one right now. This one
Okay.
before you is the future land use amendment.
Okay,
Okay.
so I move to approve the second read and to adopt the ordinance as presented.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any additional comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Okay, this is the adjoining item. It's item 430 Run, rezoning case 2023-08. An ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1816 Parker Road from C2 General Commercial District to RM Residential Multifamily District to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading this morning, and these are the questions that we would take up with the conditions for the rezoning, so.
So I would, I move to approve the second reading with the amendment to remove the condition of number 9, the 50-foot buffer. Is that
Okay.
how I would do it?
Is that the only one you want to take up? There were two recommendations. One was to remove the buffer, as the deputy director described, which would happen anyway, and then to make the development 100% rental and managed by a single management company.
Right, that's the only one.
So
I
just
would-
one amendment, thank you.
So
All right.
let me make sure I'm clear, and
Mhm.
thank you, Commissioner
Sure.
Washington. So is it the recommendation to remove the 100% rental?
So this morning, the motion this morning is by Commissioner Washington to approve the ordinance that's in front of you with one amendment, removing the buffer, and then not to take up the other requests, the other two requests.
We're not going to even entertain that about the, I do have a thank you so much.
Okay.
So I have a question for the Deputy Director.
Yes, sir.
Do you, by chance, know the price point of these units?
Let me see if I can have it in my folder, sir. I apologize. I do not, sir. I apologize. I do not have that in my folder.
Is there a representative here that can speak? Hang on a second. Hang on one second. Come on up, Director.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning,
morning.
Commission. In the initial proposals, they did not put this price range in the area. What we're trying to do is get them zoned, and from the zoning process, and the next thing with the conditions and the full details of the application. In the first review of this, it was the zoning of the land area. If the developer would like to come up, if they have a general price point, usually just for the good of the group, the price points oftentimes change with the market conditions and the materials. So preliminary price points are not always what we look on at the earlier stages until we're able to look fully at the development when it's being constructed, the areas, and the time when the actual development will be launching. So just wanted to put that out there. If the developers here, do you have additional?
And in fact, you just gave me what I needed. So thank you, Director Njoko. Thank you so much. I'm ready to move forward.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so we have a motion to approve the ordinance with the amendment of removing the buffer as stated in condition number 9.
It's been
one
properly
motion.
motioned and second.
We need
No
a second.
All right, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I don't know. Because that's a whole new ballgame. Let me just comment that while we want lots of homeowners, we also want
space for those who want to rent, who choose to rent. And so I'm concerned if we limit all of the townhomes to home ownership only, that we've placed ourselves out of the market of young people who want to live in a nice place but don't want to purchase yet. So I really haven't had time to think a lot about the pros and cons of that.
Well, you bring up a valid point, Commissioner. I think we are in a very diverse county and community. We have to think about all the different income brackets and the different lifestyles of our very diverse community. We do. We have seniors who are on a fixed income. We have young people who are struggling to just pay back a student loan, and a lot of them can't afford to have an apartment. We have to find somewhere in the middle to be able to address a variety of our citizens in the county. And guess what? In the position the three of us in, we're never going to make everybody happy. Guess what we have to do? Make a decision. So with that being said, I want to hear from Commissioner Washington as well.
My question is, what's the difference between this one and the first one?
Well, there isn't any difference. And so we approved the first one to keep it at 5% rental. And so I'm hesitant to do the second one, because I think we need some stock of new, good housing for rentals.
Let's hear from the director. Director, shed some light, and you hear this is a very good conversation coming from the two commissioners. And I'm going to ask that Director Njoku, do what you can. We've got a little bit of technical difficulties with that microphone on the podium. Also, my colleagues, if you would, I'm hearing that we need you to speak into the mic. If you could pull up a little bit so you can speak into the mic so that everyone can hear you. Go right ahead, Director.
Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Williams, Chairman, we definitely appreciate the fact that you're recognizing that Rockdale County is a diverse community that requires diverse housing. One of the things that the Commission has within its powers and capabilities are to approve the advancement of development projects with conditions that might hold percentages of rental properties, or even be able to speak to developers now that they're going through the application process, so that you can have a diverse group of housing that can speak to the growing population here. As you're trying to make your decision, and I'm just reminding you, as Executive Director Rutledge already knows, that there's an option at this stage, if there's an approval with additional conditions for a review of maybe a mixed housing model that might allow for you to have rentals, ownership, and the capability for mixed-use development. This is the time where we can have that discussion as we're going through the permitted process to meet Rockdale County's community needs. So I just wanted to re-highlight that it's within your purview as you're looking at each one of the projects, areas that you want to preserve for home ownership here to make sure that there is a wealth base growing, areas for the growing population that's coming here that need rentability or need a place for them to downsize and still maintain their connection to the community they've grown into. Those are the options that are before you if you want to be able to look at those clearly. But with the second read, what we want to do is be able to look at each development and give them an opportunity to speak to the needs that you're speaking about right now for the county.
So I think that I won't second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, so is there a second at all?
Is there, do we even have a motion on the
Yes,
floor?
the
We do
Commissioner
have a motion?
Washington.
Okay, all right. Is there a second?
That would be you.
Yes, it would be. So
Sorry.
let me add some comment here, because I'm going to make a decision. Very clearly, when we think about the housing crisis in Rockdale County, we think about the fact that developers are here in various parts of both the city of Conyers and in Rockdale County. We do have to think globally of the different income brackets and the different demographics and the diversity of so many people that live in our community. I think it's important that we have a variety for folks to select and choose from. I think we have learned a lot over the last couple of years in terms of how we engage with these developers, and they know that we're serious about what we're doing in Rockdale County. The fact that housing is so limited, we've got to make a decision. We have to have both. But we have to be able to control it and monitor what it looks like. the impact of those who currently live here, but also the opportunity of folks who are trying to find a place. Everyone that's looking for an apartment or condo is not coming from outside. Some of these folks are leaving homes inside their parents' house and trying to find an apartment or a condo right in Rockdale County, but they need to be able to afford it. I second the motion. It's been properly motioned and
Hold on.
second.
So you're for not having the rentals? That's what the motion on the floor
No,
is?
I'm for having the rentals, absolutely.
So the motion is without the rentals?
No, I'm
So
not.
you don't, so
I don't support.
it needs to fail for lack of a second?
Okay,
That's
so
right.
let's do it that way.
So if she doesn't have a second, then the motion fails.
That motion
Someone
fails.
needs to introduce a new motion.
So I want to make a motion that we move forward with this opportunity and this development so that it will allow the variety of rental opportunities in Rockdale County to cater to a very diverse population of citizens from different income brackets.
So let's walk through this. So the motion is to approve the ordinance with, do you want to not have the 50-foot buffer? We want to get rid of that because that's going to take care of itself anyway. So we want to amend the ordinance to include the withdrawal of the buffer, but also to include the amendment of 100% rental.
Or the option to.
The option to 100% rental. Okay, is that it?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have that down. So we have two amendments to the ordinance, which would be to remove number 9 as the condition for the buffer and to add additional condition for the option of 100% rental.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. So you have seconded, Commissioner Williams. Now we need a vote.
All right, so it has been properly motioned and second, and thanks to the executive
Oh,
director
you're
for
welcome.
cleaning that up
Yes,
for us.
thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Director. Next item, please.
Okay. Item 432 is Future Land Use Case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from the office institutional future land use category to the high-density future land use category to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
So the applicant has requested,
Yes, ma'am. They're seeking to go back to be scheduled back to the next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting because they are seeking to have a community meeting with the surrounding neighbors.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would move to refer the ordinance back to the planning commission.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any additional comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 434 is rezoning case 2020.
I'm sorry, Executive Director. I'm so sorry.
Sure.
I want to make a comment, Commissioners, about that. You're good, Deputy Director. Whenever, and that's what has happened over this last couple of years, now we have the developers talking more to the members of the community before they go through the process. Whenever we see what just happens, that's a good thing.
Right.
So for the developers to go back out into the community, speak to the folks who are currently here and find out, check their pulse and find out what the community wants. Work all of that out with the Planning Commission to the best of your ability and then come back to us. This is a growing trend that we appreciate and we welcome that because you can never have enough communication in terms of trying to work things out on the front end before you bring them. That way you've done your due diligence, and particularly when you do community involvement. I wanted to point that out because that's very critical. All three of us have advocated for that over the last couple of years, and we've been seeing a lot more of that more recently, and I wanted to highlight it because it's so important, Commissioners. Next item.
Okay, item 434 is rezoning case 2023-07, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1952 Old Covington Highway from R1 Single Family Residential District to M1 Limited Industrial, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
Did I miss item 433?
Are we not on 433?
We voted to refer it back to the Planning Commission, and now we're on 434.
Okay. No, we voted 432 to
Oh, so
send
we
it
missed
back
it.
to the
That's
They
planning
go
okay.
together.
That's
I
all right.
apologize.
That's
They
all right.
go together.
Listen, no problem.
Yeah,
We've had so
that's
much
right.
excitement in here today.
We have.
It's okay. It's
Absolutely.
happened to the best of us.
So the future land use case and the rezoning case for the Ebenezer at Highway 138, they
Okay.
go together. So what we would need to do then, let's make sure that the motion that was made and the second apply to future land use case 2023-02 and the rezoning case 2023-09. Does that clarify?
Yes, they really go
Everybody?
together, so yes.
Okay.
Is that
yes,
good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So are we clear on that now?
Are we good?
Okay, all right, next item.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
going back, the whole
Commissioner Washington,
thing
you tracking?
is going
I'm trying, I
Okay,
guess.
okay.
back to the planning commission
434.
to be reconsidered together.
Okay.
That's correct. All right, so now, item 434 is rezoning case 2023-07, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1952 Old Covington Highway from R1 Single Family Residential District to M1 Limited Industrial to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
This is the one with the shop owners that are trying to
Yes.
move down the street?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right, at the public hearing.
I'm tracking now.
Okay,
Very good. I like it when you track.
me too.
So I would move to approve the second reading.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second.
And adopt the ordinance. I'd finish the sentence.
Okay, all right, okay, all
We're
right.
getting excited.
Okay, all right.
I took a breath.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, you want to second it again?
I'm sorry. Are you done? We done?
I'm
Did
done.
you finish
Okay.
your line?
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh, gosh.
I think on the Georgia criminal justice books, the state constitution, there's still a law that the police officer can pull you over for driving too fast for conditions. We were driving too fast.
Yes,
for
we were.
conditions. Next item, please.
All right, item 435 is a special use permit case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended to authorize a special use permit for a 200-foot AGL monopole communication tower and related telecommunication facilities at 2400 Southwest Tucker Mill Road, Conyers, Georgia 30012, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
I move to refer this ordinance back to the planning commission for reconsideration as presented.
I second the motion.
I have a question. My question is, can you explain why this is going back to the planning commission?
If you remember, Chairman, the applicant is trying to work out some legality issues with the current property owner. So we did not have actual public hearing the previous two times this item came before the commission. So they're seeking to actually have a full public hearing with the planning commission and the board in the next upcoming regularly scheduled BOC hearings. And they also had to conduct a balloon test as well, as since they had that issue with the property owner, they were unable to do that, and they happened to do that last week.
Thank you so much for that clarification. It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Going back to the planning commission. Next
Yes.
item, please.
Item 436 is a text amendment case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, table of permitted uses of the Unified Development Ordinance of Rockdale County, Georgia, as amended, adding beer, wine, and liquor stores to the MXD, Mixed Use Development Zoning District, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading.
I want to get director or somebody to come on up. While you're coming up, I'm going to talk a little bit because I've received multiple emails, text messages, a few phone calls. And let me just take a moment here because there is a concern in our community. We have a good number of alcoholic beverage stores scattered all throughout Rockdale County. And I'm hearing from citizens, and they are concerned, commissioners, about the number of alcoholic beverage stores that are popping up all throughout Rockdale County. Director Njoko, speak to this and give us some education here because, you know, this is a growing concern and we need to be able to respond to citizens' inquiry about the number of alcoholic beverage establishments that are all over the county.
Thank you.
And let me say this, when they say all over the county, here's what they do. They don't separate or distinguish between the city limits of Conyers and Rockdale County. They say the county as a whole. A good number of those beverage locations are located within the city of Conyers. But when people are driving down the road, they don't distinguish. They just say, we have liquor stores everywhere. They say the county as a whole. Talk to me.
Thank you so much, Chairman, for the time. There's two factors that we have to consider in this discussion. Right now presented in front of you is the capacity for the county to be able to have economic development driven by businesses that will be selling spirits. That's one aspect. The other aspect is exactly what the citizens are speaking about, where they'll be placed, how they'll be utilized, how many of them will they be within the county. Those are conditions that can therefore be restricted, put in the application process, or maneuvered as we're looking at the entire county as a whole. As the chairman so rightfully stated, we do not control what happens for the city of Conyers, but for the entire county for economic development, this is talking about changing the zoning so that there are businesses that can have economic development that do sell spirits. However, of course, the commission board is here to be able to limit that. Our planning and development is here to be able to provide buffers and conditions as where they could be. Obviously, we don't want liquor stores close to schools. We don't want them close to areas where people would not want them to be, where they would be inappropriate. And of course, we do not want a county full of those at which we can create limitations. This just opens up the door in the second read for the text amendment for the capacities for economic developments to exist that sell spirits.
Gotcha.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I asked a few months ago for us to explore an ordinance that limits how many liquor stores can be in a certain proximity of another liquor store. I would like to hurry up, expeditiously put something like that on the books because it is a problem when you see a strip mall with a liquor store on both ends, and so I think that's part of the problem. So I would really like to have that in place by the beginning of the year, something to that effect.
Yes, ma'am.
I certainly support it, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Now, thanks for the education, because what the director just explained, what's before us is not speaking to the volume or the amount of stores. Is speaking to the opportunity to encourage economic development for those establishments that may sell food, beverage, wine in a mixed-use setup. We want that. We encourage economic development. What we were talking about was the brick and mortar of multiple establishments and buildings being all over our community. Commissioner Williams, any comments from you regarding this?
I'm trying to sort this out in my mind about when it just says adding beer, wine, and liquor stores. Are we talking about package stores, or are we talking about restaurants that serve beer, wine, and liquor?
As you can see, it's an MXD, mixed-use development. So we're talking about when you have, I'm sure you've seen complexes that are developments that have residentials and then they have downstairs stores that have a bistro, that might have a bar, that might have a couple of things. And that's a mixed-use development that has the capacities to now sell spirits. So we're speaking about that from a development standpoint to say, do we want to give the capacity for developments to be able to create that here in Rockdale County? Okay. What Commissioner Washington is indicating in what she would like to do conditionally is to limit spirit stores in specific areas and limit how many of those may be within the county. If we say within our county's capability, we only want X amount, that's a limit that we would like, and make sure that we have other conditions for where we would like them placed, away from schools, far away from like-minded stores, separated by X amount of miles. These would be the options for what can happen, but at this moment, what's in front of you is whether you want the capacities for mixed-use developments to be able to sell spirits.
Okay, so if we approve a mixed-use development someplace, then what is our option at that point to limit, if we desire to, or not the ability not to limit stores that sell the alcohol?
Within the board's capacity, our capabilities, our conditions. Rockdale County can say a mixed-use development may come, but may only have 4 or 1 or 2 individualized
Okay.
stores that sell spirits, and therefore this would be the approval and favorability of the commission and council, and that could be your condition at that particular point. But this, what's in front of you, is just a text amendment to say, to bear the answer to the question, does Rockdale County, or will they allow mixed-use developments that will be able to have the capacities to sell spirits?
So I'm going to defer the motion to one of you.
I
Okay.
move to approve the second reading and to adopt this ordinance as presented.
I second the motion. It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Director Njoko.
Commissioner Williams, what was your vote?
My vote is yes
Okay, thank you.
to approve it.
I didn't hear that, so
With
you have to say it out loud or it's a no.
my own personal reservations.
All right, next item, please.
Okay, keeping it lively this morning. All right. Item 438 is a change in conditions case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1610 Old Salem Road, Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013.
I'm sorry, did we miss 437? With the
Yes,
text.
thank you.
amendment.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
you're right, sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. All right, we skipped one. We'll go
Item
in
number
order.
437,
Item
please.
437
a
is
lot
text
going on this
amendment. Is text amendment case 2023-04, an ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, table permitted uses, and section 218-13, standards of use and development of the Unified Development Ordinance of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by adding mineral extraction, dimensional stone to the AR Agricultural Residential Zoning District and establishing supplemental regulations related thereto, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a second reading this morning.
I move to approve the second reading and to adopt this ordinance as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
All right, that was
All right,
nice.
we're back
Okay.
on track.
Back on
Item
track.
438,
Once again,
please.
item 438 is a change in conditions case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1610 Old Salem Road Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013, from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District, to impose conditions upon the amendment, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for our first reading.
So I move to approve the first read and refer this ordinance to the Planning Commission.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, please. Item number 439.
Item 439 is a change in condition case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 2294 Iris Drive Southwest, Conyers, Georgia 30094, from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District, to impose conditions upon the amendment, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for our first reading.
I move to approve the first reading and refer this ordinance to the Planning Commission as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 440 is Future Land Use Case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest from medium residential density future land use category to technology park future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a first reading.
And I move to approve the first reading and refer the ordinance to the Planning Commission.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 441 is rezoning case 2023-12, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia, as amended by rezoning 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest from R1 Single Family Residential District to O&I Office Institutional District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a first reading.
I move to approve the first reading and to refer this ordinance to the Planning Commission as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 442 is rezoning case 2023-13, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 2265 Zingara Road Northeast from R1 Single Family Residential District to AR Agricultural Residential District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a first reading.
I move to approve the first reading and refer this ordinance to the Planning Commission.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 443 is special use permit case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended to authorize a special use permit for mineral extraction dimensional stone at 2265 Zingara Road Northeast, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a first reading.
I move to approve the first reading and refer this ordinance to the Planning Commission as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 444 is special use permit case 2023-05, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended to authorize a special use permit for electrical substation at 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is submitted for a first reading.
I move to approve the first reading and refer the ordinance to the Planning Commission as presented.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Wow.
We did it.
Oh, yeah, we did. That was
Okay.
a journey there, and we did. A few little hiccups, but we made it through. So now we're down to public comment.
And I believe we have a couple of cards that have been turned in, so I'll go ahead and read the disclaimer.
Outstanding.
As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments relative to any issues that are currently going through the public hearing process, matters that are in active litigation, political campaigning, or partisan politics will not be heard in this meeting. Speakers are to address the chairman, not each other or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers and/or members of the audience shall be permitted.
Outstanding. May I have the first set of cards, please, if we have any? Thank you, thank you. Come on up, Ms. Gillett.
Out of all those cards, you called me first. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm grateful to be here this morning. Last year, the board listened to citizens and held their retreat at Costly Mill here in Conyers. It was open to the public since a quorum of the board was present. I didn't hear any concerns about not being able to say or do anything while in the public eye here in Conyers. This year, the board is going out of town for the retreat, out of the public eye. This will take away local small business catering, incurs more travel and time expense for lobbyists and their staff, and bond counsel and their staff. It takes employees away from their family and family activities unnecessarily overnight. However, if you cancel that reservation by this Friday, you would only lose the $250 deposit, not the $2,250 fee for the conference space, and not have the extra travel and hotel expenses. Also, Sunday afternoon, I sent an email to the board, so in case you haven't had a chance to read it, I'll read it to you. Chairman and Commissioners, I understand from Executive Director Jennifer Rutledge that the PF Public Facilities Authority meeting tomorrow will not be recorded or streamed. Since this will have a major impact on citizens' pocketbooks for up to 40 years, in the interest of full transparency, I feel there should be a video record of these meetings. The agenda has a place for public comment, but it's scheduled for 4:00 p.m. when most employed people would be at work, including county employees who live in the county, that this will have an impact on their pocketbooks as well for up to 40 years. It's during normal working hours for public relations staff to record and stream the meeting, and this assembly hall is already set up to record and stream meetings as it is doing now. So I see no reason why the Public Facilities Authority meeting cannot be recorded and streamed so people can be informed. They will be able to watch it when they get home. Other meetings without the BOC present are and have been recorded and streamed from this assembly hall, such as the Planning Commission meetings and the Water Authority when it was meeting. And perhaps the entities that appointed the Public Facilities Authority members would like to see this meeting also. Therefore, I am requesting that this Public Facilities meeting tomorrow and any future Public Facilities Authority meetings be recorded and streamed for the public. Thank you, and sincerely, Charlotte Gellert. Are you listening? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gellert, and thank you for all that you do on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County. Next up is Mr. Wright. Come on up, Mr. Wright.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning. You can pull that mic up, Mr. Wright. It's flexible there. Yes,
Down
sir.
that low.
Yes, sir.
A few meetings ago, I stopped in and I was talking about situations in my neighborhood, the Gardens of Fieldstone. And you made a comment that when the meeting was over, you were going to come out to my home and take a look at what was happening. And you brought all your directors out. I applaud you for doing that, and the work has begun on one of the streets of Stales, which was a bad runoff area. And this morning when I was leaving the neighborhood on Sam's Way, they were working on one of my neighbors across the street, clearing out the debris and making a better tunnel for the water to run. And I do believe in the very near future they're going to move on over to Linda Circle, which is definitely a safety hazard for young people. And so, like I say, I want to thank you for getting right on that project, because it was a disaster in our neighborhood, especially for the residents, because when we had a lot of rain, property was flooded. And they came out and they took a look at it just like you did. We walked the property and came up with a plan to get everything taken care of. I do want to say, though, code enforcement, I've got a little issue with that. I cannot understand why I have to submit, or anyone has to submit something to code enforcement for them to come out and look at a situation. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are 7 code enforcement guys that work the field, guys and women possibly. Why can't they, when they're riding around, if they see something, react? Why does a citizen have to write something down to get their attention? If you got 7 employees and I come in that morning and I don't have a complaint, what am I doing all day long? You know, why am I not in my vehicle riding around looking for things to address? So maybe that's, as the county grows and you're bringing all these people in, things are going to get worse. They're not going to get any better. So these code enforcement people should be more active. When I'm riding around, if I see something, bang, I take care of it. I'll go to and write a citation. But I do want to say, One time I called you, or a couple of times I've called you, especially up on Salem Road, where the Quick Trip was. All that trash was strewn all the way across. You reacted, brought a crew over, cleaned it up. The same thing with those little boxes where you drop off clothes where the McDonald's was. I called you, you sent a crew out, it was cleaned up. But like I say, if code enforcement are active enough and you give them the muscle to do that, they should react without a call from you, me, or any other citizen saying, what's going on?
Mr. Wright, if you would hang tight there, I really appreciate this, your comments this morning. First of all, let me give a big shout out and hats off to both our Rockdale Department of Water Resources as well as Stormwater for responding with me out to your establishment, your subdivision. I do have a quick question before I go forward. How old is your subdivision?
I think the Gardens of Fieldstone dates back to 1998.
And that's
but it was built in phases.
Yes, sir, and I'm aware of that, but I just needed you to say that because you are a resident of Gardens of Fieldstone. You're absolutely right in terms of the date. What we found all over the county, there are so many subdivisions that were built in the 90s, the 80s, some even in the 70s, and there's a few hanging around from the 50s and the 60s. The point I'm making is several of those were approved with poor conditions, particularly in the area of stormwater management. If you recall, I've talked about the fact that stormwater management has been neglected well over 40 years. We've not had anyone to really pay close attention to what's going on, and some of the codes that were approved with those established subdivisions back then, it does make me scratch my head. So we're in a mode, commissioners, of responding and sometimes reacting to things that were approved long before us 40 years ago. So I appreciate your patience, and thank you to Director Simpkins and to Director Peak and Deputy Director Davis for dispatching their teams to be able to go out. And we actually walked through there with Mr. Wright. On your other concern about code enforcement, I really appreciate that one because we have now broken the county up into 6 zones. So you're absolutely right. We have code enforcement people who are out patrolling all throughout the unincorporated area of Rockdale County. We've got a good number of blight and trash and code enforcement violations. So they're out patrolling and they are responding all day and on the weekends to multiple calls. We established in 2017 a program you may be familiar with called See Something, Say Something.
Yes.
We don't have a code enforcement officer to cover every inch and crevice of the county. So we do rely and count on citizens that when you do see something, call us and say something. I don't want to beat them up because they're doing a fantastic job. We'll go out and we'll police one particular area. 3 days later, the problem returns. So we have code enforcement as well as the community improvement team. I want to encourage you and any other citizens in Rockdale County, you don't have to call me. Most of you all have my number. You can call me and I will respond.
You know I will.
I encourage you to call code enforcement. Reach out to code enforcement. They may not be aware of something. Bring it to their attention and I can guarantee you they will respond. Since you have my number and you want to text me and make me aware of it, you know if you call me, I'm coming. I'm going to respond and I will. But we have established the see something, say something policy because right now I'm at 901 Millstead on Main Street, okay? I don't know what's going on Rena Court or over on Tucker Mill, but if something is happening in those areas, I'd like for a citizen to bring it to our attention and we'll go out and we will address it. Thank you for all of what you do on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
Does the city of Conyers have a code enforcement?
They do.
So it's separate from the county?
Yes, sir. Thanks for that question. The city of Conyers has a code enforcement division that is completely separate from the county. And they patrol and manage, should I say, the city limits within the city of Conyers.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, commissioners, that's one of the things that are so confusing to so many people, not knowing the different boundary lines between what's in the city and what's in the county. As I've stated so many times before, Chief Webb, that people don't really care about the city limits or the county limits. When they see a problem, they just want to call them on somebody to fix it. I get it and I understand it. One of the things about our code enforcement team and community improvement, I've said to them repeatedly, let's not limit ourselves to boundaries. If it's on Pine Log Road, pick it up, and they do it. They get it done. So we don't limit ourselves to the city limits or the county limits. We go out there and we work. And I must say, we work very, very closely with the city of Conyers. We've got our upcoming War on Litter. We do a spring segment and a fall segment. And this year, we're really expanding our territory where we're calling on multiple nonprofits, local high schoolers, and people in our community to join. Last year we had over 150 volunteers out with, not last year, but earlier this year, the spring of this year, when we deployed the War on Litter. So it's an ongoing war, but we certainly do appreciate. Mr. Wright, it's refreshing to get a praise report and letting us know when we're doing something right. So we certainly appreciate that. Mr. Chandler, would you raise your hand, please? Mr. Chandler is the manager of code enforcement. Don't let Mr. Wright leave the building without you getting he getting your card, and you can take a little pressure off me, Mr. Chandler. You can give him your number. Let him call you. All right? Yes, sir. All right. Next up is Miss Williams. Come on up, Miss Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners and Chairman. I'm a first-time and new homeowner in Rockdale County, taxpayer. I'm a newly retired Army nurse captain with over 22 years of service.
Thank you for your service. Let's give Ms. Williams a round of applause. 22 years of service. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nurse Williams.
Thank you. I live in McCart Landing community. We have some safety concerns. There's 2 retention ponds that have failed. Sinkholes and erosion issues. The road behind the retention pond will collapse if not fixed soon. Rockdale Soil Water Conservation District, the EPA, and the Department of Natural Resources have been notified. It's now considered a pending natural disaster. They should have dried up and converted the retention pond to a detention pond to prevent safety issues. We now have wildlife there. Beavers have cut down trees. One fell and damaged the home at the homeowner's expense. Homes that were built within a year have huge sinkholes, including mine, erosion and runoff. Too much construction plus inappropriate erosion prevention plans plus unmaintained infrastructure equals sinkholes, erosion issues, sewage backup, and a decrease in property value. We also have an issue where homeowners are being placed in a position to have decrease in property value on the open market. We have rentals that are built right next door to our homes. We were not notified. We don't know when the notice of intent was placed, but we've asked our HOA. They have no idea. No one told them that they would be building rentals in the middle of our community where everyone in our community are homeowners. So that's a huge, we don't know what's going on with that. People relocated, I myself relocated my family, and I specifically sought out this community because it was a community full of homeowners. The developer, the new developer that's building these rentals has an unfair advantage. When it comes to the HOA, he would have 125 votes versus the homeowners' votes. I have questions. Is there a local ordinance or regulation that protects homeowners from having rentals built in a community like ours that was zoned basically, and we were told that it was for mortgaged and homeowner use, and without the homeowner's input or notice? And can we get more money to improve our infrastructure in the county?
Captain Williams, I can't thank you enough for showing up today. Yes, ma'am. And before I get into all of that, I want to do something first. I want to address the fact that immediately following this meeting, I have several directors who will be getting into their vehicles and making their way to your address. And they're going to be walking through to see. Let me call them out for you. I'm going to start with Director Njoko, who is the, raise your hand, Director Njoko, so she can see who you are. She's the director. She's in charge of planning and development. She'll be at your house shortly. The next director that'll be at your house, watch this. Raise your hand, Director Simpkins. See him there? He'll be there. Deputy Director Davis, you the Deputy Director of Infrastructure. He'll be there. Absolutely. Then I'm going to support it by making sure that our Director of Rockdale Department of Transportation is there, because I don't want to assume anything. Director Kelly, raise your hand so she can see who you are. Raise it up high so she can see. There you go. All right. And just for all practical purposes, we're going to make sure that we have our code enforcement manager there. Mr. Chandler, once again, would you raise your hand? All of these resources will make their way out to your house immediately following this meeting. Now, let me address a few of the other things that you talked about. We have a long-standing relationship with the HOA over at McCart Landing, and there's been several presidents over the number of years, even prior to COVID. We've had several meetings with them. There's a lot of concerns about what the developers did and what they didn't do. Some of the responsibility, we believe, rests on the shoulders of the developers. Also, our planning and development department has gone through a whirlwind of recycled leadership. But I believe that we have the right one now. So Director Njoko is going to meet with you. She's going to address at that time your concerns about the ordinance to protect our homeowners inside of a subdivision, and talk about the ordinances that we do have in place that speak to people being able to just come in and either buy up through investment and create these rental properties in the middle of the places where people are buying homes. We don't want anybody's property to be depreciated in value in Rockdale County. Nobody's property. We want all the values to maintain, sustain, and to continue to go up. Captain Williams, thank you again for your service. Thank you for your approach. We appreciate you coming out. Don't be alarmed. You have a whole bunch of white vehicles with yellow lights following you on your way home. They're going to be at your address immediately following this meeting. Commissioner Washington, you've got something you'd like to share.
I wanted to let you know that I have been researching. I've asked legal, I've asked planning and development, if there's anything that we could do to regarding the rental communities. And one of the things that you've heard today is us talk about going rental, having a completely rental community or a completely homeowners community with a certain percentage cap. What was not done in 2004 when they submitted the plats for that subdivision was put a rental cap in the ordinance, and when the bylaws were originally established, there was no rental cap in there either. So in my research, like I said, I've asked everybody I know to ask, because that was not done then. There's no way that we can go back and change it now for that particular subdivision. Once again, that's why we are so diligent about making sure that we do something about that with new homeowners, because any of them will tell you that I've been really, really concerned about that, and we have heard you all, but legally that we can't do anything as a commission about the rental properties.
So what I do want to tell you, what we're going to do, we're going to meet you at your residence. And we have our content expert, Director Njoko, who's going to follow directly with you, along with the other utility departments that support Rockdale County. Again, Captain Williams, thank you for your service, thank you for coming out, and thank you for your time. And I will be following up with you myself as well.
And I have some ideas.
Thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. All right. Are there any more comment cards? Any more comment cards? Okay, I think that wraps up public comment. Absolutely. Did you want, sir? Okay, well, you. Okay, listen. I'm old school. I know a disgusted look when I see one. I saw your look of disappointment. If you want to say something, I tell you what. Come on up. Let's do it the right way. Come on up to the. You remind me of my older brother. Absolutely. Yeah, come on up to the microphone, Super Dad.
My name is Eugene Faulkner. I moved to Rockdale County.
Yes,
I moved here from New York. I think my biggest concern was, and I heard you say it, nobody informed us before I purchased my home.
Yes, sir.
Like I bought my home thinking I was moving into a homeowners community.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they was building these houses, and I thought they was a part of D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton didn't say nothing to me. HOA didn't say nothing to me. All of a sudden, the houses get built. They sell off all the D.R. Horton houses, and the next thing you know, it's rental properties up there. Nobody. My personal thing is that we should have been informed of this before I spent over $500,000 for a house. That's my concern. Like, nobody said nothing because I wouldn't have bought this.
Now, who sold you your house?
D.R. Horton.
And did you get a chance to talk to an agent or a representative from D.R. Horton?
They said that they didn't know about it. They tried to tell me that they didn't know about it. The HOA told me that they didn't know about it. Everybody's saying that they didn't know nothing.
Well, here's what I know, Mr. Faulkner. I'm going to help you. My director of planning and development is coming to your subdivision. She's coming today. I also know that D.R. Horton has an office in Rockdale County. You spent a lot of money signing and purchasing that. I would encourage you to reach out to D.R. Horton. We're going to do our due diligence as it relates to the county. We'll be out there probably in an hour. But reach out to D.R. Horton. They didn't disappear. They're in the county. You can Google them, you can find them and reach out to them and share with them, because it sounds like you said there was a lack of communication that started before you made your purchase. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Faulkner. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming out. All right, let's move into board comments, and we will move to Commissioner Washington.
I really don't have a lot today. I was excited about the pickleball tournament. I saw a lot of the tournament online and people going. It looked like a whole lot of fun. So congratulations, Parks and Rec. I think I say that every board meeting. Congratulations, Park and Rec, for another great event. I was very, very impressed with Sergeant Warren today. Because it means a lot to see law enforcement on the front end pouring into children, so that children are not afraid of law enforcement. They see a positive aspect of law enforcement. That was everything. So I really would like to thank Sergeant Warren and the Sheriff's Department for even allowing him to participate and being a part. And that Hoops After Dark program, that's a magnificent program. So once again, congratulations, Parks and Rec, for another outstanding program. Our district attorney is gone, but that's good. Another good thing for our children to see a district attorney on the front end of their lives, as opposed to finding out what a district attorney is when it's a little bit too late. Last week, I did not get to congratulate EFAT Walker and the Community Action Now for a program that they had a few weeks ago, where they talked about community engagement, reentry programs, and things like that. It was an amazing program. There's a lot of good resources here in the county, and I hope that we can figure out how to utilize some of the services there. Congratulations to the baseball teams. I was trying to get KJ to play baseball, and he told me he only wants to play basketball. So I'm sending him to you, Jason. That for right now, until Dr. Williams says something else to remind me, is all I have for right now.
All right, Dr. Williams.
So this last weekend was fun. There were places to go, things to see. The first place I was at Saturday was the Walmart Community Day. And Parks and Rec were there. Fire and Rescue was there, along with their fire educator, who is Commissioner Washington's daughter. And RWR was there. And that's a picture of the Drippy, who was there also. It was a nice event. Walmart Health provides a whole lot of services, and they seem to be doing a really good job at it. As I walked inside, it was well organized. I haven't had a chance to take a tour of the entire building yet, but it was someplace that I wouldn't be uncomfortable going to. This September is Recovery Month, and so there have been a number of different activities. We started the end of August on the 30th with International Overdose Awareness Day, with an event at the Conyers United Methodist Church that we had at least 100 people, probably more, that were there, and some really good speakers. This past Saturday was Recovery Out Loud, and that was an event held at Parker Road, and the sign-in sheets had 276 signatures on it.
Excellent.
That is an amazing number. The number keeps growing every year of people who are coming to participate in recovery and to support their friends and loved ones who are in recovery, to support their own recovery. It's really amazing. The last event of the month for Recovery Month will be the Year of the Peer, which is our formal kind of dinner that will be this year, September 30th, from 6 to 9 at Costly Mill. Now, with dementia, our initiative on dementia, we have scheduled 2 focus groups. The first one will be September 27th from 1:30 to 2:45 over at CE Steel Building. And that one will be for people living with dementia and their caregivers. And so if you're thinking people living with dementia, people in early stages of dementia have a lot of skills and cognitive abilities still, and need support, and their caregivers need support. So that one, like I said, is specifically for people living with dementia and their caregivers, so that we can get an idea. This focus group will concentrate on what would they like to see in Rockdale County that would support their families. The second focus group on dementia will be October 5th from 2 to 3:15, and that will also be held at the CE Steel Building. And that will be community leaders, those who encounter people living with dementia in their in the course of their day. For instance, businesses, law enforcement, healthcare workers, and the faith community. In fact, when I announced it yesterday at the Community Resource Network meeting, one of the pastors came straight to me afterwards and said, I see this all the time in my congregation, and I would like to be part of this. So there is a need in our community, and I'm looking forward to the things that we can learn and the things that, working with senior services, that we can begin to educate our community and hopefully provide some services that aren't being offered right now.
Commissioner Washington, any thought-provoking? Last minute comments?
Well, no, I just wanted the date of the first focus group.
September 27th at 1:30.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. I don't have any comments today. No, we got more business to handle, and I'm going to yield to you, Commissioner.
Okay. I move that we make sure I get it right. I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing land acquisition.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Executive Director Rutledge, I want to bring closure to this meeting and thank everybody for their time today. This has been a very celebrated and robust meeting this morning. We thank you all for coming out. This portion of our meeting is adjourned.